This is the Week in Sport on Musclecat Sports. Cricket, and England and New Zealand are playing a T20 series. England are up 1-0 after 2 games. Similarly, the Australians and the Indians are playing an ODI series, and the Australians are up 1 after 1. And game 2 is today as well, and let's hope Virat Kohli can go back-to-back ducks. I'm sorry, I know we have Indians watching this show as well. Much respect, but we don't like Virat. Pakistan and South Africa are in a test series that's on a knife edge going into day 4. The Pakistan team won the first test. South Africa are clawing their way back into it. This one's close. But big news in cricket. Zimbabwe have won their first test on home soil in 12 years. They did it in a test match over Afghanistan. And not only that, it's their first victory by a margin of an innings or more since 2001. And in that game, Andy Bligno, remember him? Bligno, however you like to say it. He took 8 for 110 in that match, but he wasn't given man of the match. They gave it to Javed Omer, who scored 62 and 85, not out. But his team lost by an innings and 32 runs. We want justice for Andy, but Zimbabwe cricket's back to the Premier League, and Ange Postecoglou, we know by now, was sacked by Nottingham Forest. In fact, he was sacked so quickly after their 3-0 loss to Chelsea that he hadn't even exited the change rooms yet. In fact, he might not have had his post-game shower, if Ange does have a shower. I don't know what his habits are. But it reminded me of the time that my first girlfriend was breaking up with me in the middle of a shift at Sports Power, and the phone ran out of battery mid-call, so I had to run out to the payphone and put some coins in so she could continue breaking up with me. Very similar story for Ange. But it was a huge week of Champions League football, with English teams Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea and Man City defeating their collective opponents by a total score of 19-2. Absolute dominance from England on the European stage. And then Tottenham drew 0-0 with Monaco. Meanwhile, Dutch fellas PSV shocked Italian champions Napoli, who had 10 men, with a score of 6-2. And PSG beat Bayer Leverkusen 7-2. So PSV and PSG dominated a competition sponsored by PS5. Coincidence? To the NBA, and it was a double overtime season opener, with the champions OKC Thunder beating the Houston Rockets, and the Lakers were beaten by the Golden State Warriors by 10 points on a day where Space Jam actor Michael Jordan made his media debut on NBC. To golf, and if you're anything like me, if you have a bad tee shot, you're blaming your mates behind you for daring to whisper on your backswing. So I don't know how Tommy Fleetwood concentrated during the India Championship with this racket going on.
Some air out, hit a safety shot.
To the NFL, and Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel is under pressure. The question is, why hasn't he been sacked yet? They're 1-6, they're deplorable in every conceivable way as press conferences are getting weirder, and there seems no hope for this team, with Tua now throwing interceptions again. He threw 3 last week. Mark my words, if they lose to the Falcons, he's gone. As for the Jets, they're 0-7. They're worse than ever, and head coach Aaron Glenn is also under pressure. Will we see the first winless season since the 2017 Cleveland Browns? Mark my words, if they lose to the Bengals this week, he's gone. This week, the Eagles host the Giants. The Giants, of course, losing the unlosable against the Broncos last week. They were 19-0 up, and the Broncos scored 33 points in the last quarter to win by a point. Head coach Brian Dable's under pressure now, and mark my words, if they lose to the Eagles this week, he's probably not gone, but it's not good. Formula One, the Mexico Grand Prix this week. The competition is on. Max Verstappen is back in this. It was 63 points going into the USA. Now it's only 40 points, the gap between him and Piastri in first. And Lando Norris occupies the space in between. Last year, Ferrari won with Carlos Sainz, but before that, it was Verstappen. He's in form, he loves this track in Mexico, and he is in this World Championship hunt. And to think some people call Formula One televised traffic. It's a bit funny. Just quickly, we have to say this show is brought to you by the Suburban Brew and the good people at Wayne Phillis Kia on South Road in Ranella. Good people, demo sale across the range. Check out the Kia Tasman there. They're one of the main reasons this show continues, so thank you to Wayne Phillis Kia. All right, we've got to talk some MLB. The World Series is decided. We've got Eric on the line. We're coming back in a sec. It's time to talk MLB, in particular the World Series, and this is not going to be an unbiased interview. It's going to be very biased because I've got a Toronto Blue Jays long-suffering fan. He's from Canada. His name's Eric Bolner. He's also from the Baseball Expats podcast. Eric, first time since 1993 that the Blue Jays have been in the World Series. Just sum up your feelings.
Well, it's pretty cool, right? Like, this is the first time in my lifetime that really they've made it this far, even to a Game 7 of the ALCS. Like, I'm born in 1990, 1993 was the last time. I was 3. I don't remember any of that, right? So The Jays have only had a couple playoff runs past the wild card in my entire lifetime. And this year has been, I don't know, it's kind of a dream as a sports fan. I can expand on that in a minute. But yeah, I guess just super excited for my family, my friends, the community, the fans. Like, these moments don't happen often. So cool to see everybody united over the name of Blue Jays. And we're the underdogs. That's always the best spot to be in, too.
There's a lot of excitement, obviously, making the World Series. It's one of the sports where, when you get to that point, the celebrations seem almost equivalent to actually winning it. So what does it mean? I know you said it means a lot for the community and fans, but if they go on to lose it, does that wipe away the achievement of getting there, or is there already some victory in making it this far?
Well, I think it's kind of an experience that any sports fan can relate to in terms of hope versus expectation, right? When you're a sports fan, obviously you hope that your team can go to the big dance. Like, you don't watch the games if you're not hopeful.
Yep.
But I think you kind of have to have a reality check with this version of the 2025 Blue Jays. So they have a good core. Yeah. At the beginning of the season, if you looked at the odds for who would win the division, the Jays were 5th out of 5 teams for winning that division.
Wow.
Right? Everyone thought they would be last place in the division.
Yep.
The knock was the AL East is loaded. Very good division. So everyone was saying if the Jays were in another division, their season might go different, but they're in a gauntlet. They're the worst of the 5 teams. They're going to miss the playoffs, and their over-under line was 80.5, and it's a 162 game season. So the question of the Blue Jays at the start of the year was, would they be a 500 team? Would they be a 500 team? That was literally the question.
And that doesn't get you to playoffs, let alone the World Series.
No, it doesn't, right? And then you have to also check that, say, okay, what were the reasons for hope? Okay, the reasons for hope was they have a pretty good pitching staff, right? Like, maybe pitching dominates and they win a bunch of games. Cool. They signed a guy named Anthony Santander for a lot of money in the offseason. Maybe he goes off, hits a bunch of home runs, offense is better. Cool. Have a guy named Bo Bichette, had an off year last year. Maybe he goes off and returns to his normal form. Sweet. So there's your reasons for hope. Mm-hmm. Now, if I told you that those are your reasons for hope, what if I told you that Bo Bichette hasn't been on the roster for the entire playoff run and for almost all of September? Anthony Santander has been hurt the entire season and hasn't really played. And on the opening day playoff roster, only one of the Jays' starting 5 pitchers was actually on that rotation. And I said, hey, Curt, guess what? The Toronto Blue Jays are going to have 13 players who were meant to be in AAA, the level below MLB, playing on this team at the end of the season. You'd say, okay, now the hope is gone, right?
So this is a miracle.
That's what the Toronto Blue Jays have been this year, is they've been completely unexpected, right? They shouldn't be here. So when you have that season as a fan where you're not even expecting to make the playoffs and all of a sudden they're in the World Series, it's those years that you never forget. This team is scrappy. This team is gritty. This team is down and out. They lost the first 2 games in a best-of-7 series at home and won the series. Like, that's never happened in the history of Major League Baseball, ever. No team has lost the first 2 games at home and come on to win this series. So this team has kind of defeated the odds all season. They shouldn't be in the World Series. They are. So even if they lose, you're going to remember this season for a long time. Next year will be different because the expectation will be to be good. They got to the World Series the year before. So you just kind of got to enjoy it as a fan. That's why it's been so awesome.
But they are there, so you may as well win it. And they're a team that the neutrals can get behind, because the Dodgers, they won it last year. They're a big organization. Everybody knows them, so they're easy to root against in that regard. You said it's a dream. It's been a dream year for you as a sports fan. What is that for Toronto fans generally? I mean, I know ice hockey, and there's similar failures with the ice hockey for Toronto year after year, it seems. But is there other stuff that's gone your way?
I mean, the Bills are, they're good. They should make another run again. And they're like a Toronto team. The Leafs, they have a good team, but I think that's probably the other thing, I guess, why Toronto sports fans were so happy is because, like, we're used to Game 7 heartbreak. We're used to playoff heartbreak. Like, every year, there's big Bills community in Toronto as well. You know that, Curt, right? Like, every year, it's like, this is the year the Bills beat the Chiefs, and you get so hyped up for it, and then they lose to the Chiefs.
Even as
this
a Chiefs
is the year
fan,
the Leafs finally win a Game 7, and then they lose the Game 7. So, the Leafs, we're expecting to lose. Like, we expect to get to these games, and we set ourselves up and protect ourselves up for heartbreak. So when it's 3-1 late in the game and George Springer hits a 3-run home run to put the Jays up, it's like, oh my God, what happens against us happened for us. Are you kidding me? This shit, like, this shouldn't be happening to us right now. This is what happens to us. So, that was the euphoria that people were feeling because it's a foreign feeling. We're used to being heartbroken, not giving the heartbreak. So I feel bad for the Seattle fans, man, right? Like those fans don't deserve what happened to them in that game, but I'll take it because I'm a Jays guy.
And didn't Springer, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he have a knee injury that might have put him out of games and he somehow came back and performed like that?
Dude, in game 5, 2 days earlier, he took a 100-mile-per-hour fastball off of the knee. And that ball was hit so hard off of his knee that the exit velocity registered on StatCast. So normally you get exit velocity off the bat. So it was 58 miles per hour off the knee.
Wow.
Is what the ball left. So that's 100 kilometers an hour. That ball left his knee at that speed. And he played 2 days later and he hit the home run. So literally the odds, that shouldn't happen, right? For some reason, the Jays are defying odds. So that's your reason for hope versus the LA Dodgers, who are the most talented baseball team ever assembled in the history of baseball. They have the best player in the history of baseball, the most talent. The Dodgers should win this, but the Jays shouldn't be here. So who knows? Maybe there's a bit more magic.
That knee story reminds me of when my dad was playing darts in Germany 30 years ago, and he hit one and it hit the little metal edging, and it came back and landed in his kneecap, and he bravely ripped it out and threw that dart back at the board and soldiered on. So similar levels of heroism, I thought that was pretty cool. I was just going to say before, as a Chiefs fan, this is not to patronise the Bills in any way, but I look at these repeated Bills issues in the NFL, and obviously with the Toronto connection there now as well. And you almost hope that they just get it done because it's so heartbreaking year after year, and it's so cruel, some of the ways that it's happened. Overtime, 1-minute drives, all that sort of stuff, that you just think this community and the extended Toronto community, having adopted Buffalo, they need some wins. They need some breaks, and it's cool to see it happen via the MLB. So we're looking forward to the World Series. We can't wait to watch it. I'll be speaking to you and, of course, Rolsey from the Baseball Expats show about how that all goes. When's the first game, and what's your prediction? What's the percentage chance that Toronto can get it done?
Yeah, so games go, if you're in Australian time, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, and then it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, if it goes to Sunday. So it's good. You have game 6 and 7 potentially on a weekend, right?
Nice.
Don't have to worry about week. I've already rallied a bunch of people, Canadians in Adelaide, for some watch parties. Maybe we'll have to go to the Suburban Brew for, that could be a go too.
Absolutely.
But I don't know, your head would tell you that the Dodgers are going to win in 4 or 5. They've lost one game this entire playoff run. They've been rolling through some very, very talented teams, including sweeping the Milwaukee Brewers, who were the best team in baseball all year. But the Jays have just a factor that you can't quantify. They got a little magic about them. So I am going to say the Toronto Blue Jays are going to win the World Series in 6. If you're going to be here, you may as well let yourself enjoy everything about it. No reason to protect yourself. You're in the World Series. If they lose, they lose. If they win, how cool is that? So I'm just going to let my heart go fully into this. It's going to be a tough series. Jays in 6. Let's go.
Love it. Eric Bolner from the Baseball Expats podcast. They'll be covering the World Series in full as well, so make sure you head across there. I wish you luck, Eric. We'll chat to you soon. We've got a 20-second sports scandal coming right up. The 1997 F1 World Championship was a race in 2, Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher, and going into the last race in Jerez, it was Schumacher who led by 1 point. So in order to tie up the title, he deliberately crashed into Villeneuve, aiming to take them both out of the race, but it backfired. Villeneuve was able to finish, Schumacher was disqualified from the entire season, and Villeneuve won the World Championship. We have a live stream every Monday night. We are live from Musclecat Studios, 8 o'clock South Australian time, 8:30 Eastern. If you're international, just check the time zones, but we'd love to have you on board. This week we had people call in about the scourge of gambling, sports gambling on young men, the difficulties of an amateur summer ice hockey player in Australia. We discussed India's second biggest sport. We discussed the NFL, MLB, all sorts. Don't miss it. Seriously, please. I need to feed my kids, and every view helps me get money. So I'd appreciate that. It's every Monday night on YouTube, Musclecat Sports. Look up Musclecat Sports for our live stream. Before we go, something a little bit different. I've had this song stuck in my head. Some likely young lads from Bolton in England who are sort of bringing back the garage band culture. There's a bit of that coming back, and these guys have put their heads together and come up with a song that I can't get out of my head. They're the Radio Addicts. The song is called Scroll My Life Away, and whilst I pack up, you can listen to that. We'll see you on Monday for the live stream.
There's nothing interesting anymore. Nothing for I'm a draft pretentious fan.